Are you one of the Milton Keynes massive? Is that what this is?
Yeah, no, I'm not originally from Milton Keynes.
Are you not?
No, I'm from Kent originally. So yeah, moved up there because the wife's family are out there. So yeah.
Whereabouts in Kent?
Do you know Rochester?
Mm-hmm.
So a little village just outside of Rochester.
The Kent countryside is
Lovely.
really nice.
Yeah.
Underrated.
Yeah.
I think because you're set off in the arse end of nowhere, like people don't really go, do you want to go to Kent for the day?
No.
I did a pantomime in Maidstone.
Oh yeah. That's very near where.
I did a pantomime in Maidstone.
Yeah.
It was at the, it was actually at, have you got an ITV studio there or a BBC studio? I think it's ITV maybe.
Yeah.
It's like a TV studio.
Meridian. Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
I played Captain Hook in Peter Pan at the Meridian studio.
Okay.
You wouldn't have seen it.
No. I've not lived there for, how old am I? 35. 15 years?
Yeah, they didn't pay me.
Do they not? Why?
I had to quit halfway through.
Bloody hell.
Because they didn't have the budget.
What's they just hired you and were just like, yeah, just going to do it. And then...
They were hoping to, so if you're going to put on a theatre show, like a pantomime, for example, you should have the capital in your back pocket so that you can pay your cast and crew regardless of ticket sales. That's like basic business sense.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. They were relying on ticket sales to pay everyone. So it was Boxing Day and I hadn't been paid. And I think they paid me like 2 days before in cash. Yeah.
Which is a red flag already.
Yeah. What, cash? Like, where am I going to spend that? Like,
it's like, this isn't the 1980s.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do with a nice dirty wad of cash? and then they didn't pay me, so I quit.
That's mad. On Boxing Day?
Yeah. I rang my agent and went, I'm done.
That's madness. So did everybody else quit, or was it just?
I think they stumbled on to the end of the run.
So we're like, we're not having it. Captain Hook's dead.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it's Peter Pan fighting nobody.
It's a ghost. The ghost of Captain Hook. It's like somebody with a white sheet comes out.
When did your interest in mental health start?
It was mainly during lockdown.
Yeah.
So March 2020.
2020.
2020, yeah. Yeah, because, it's this month, 5 years this month, yeah.
Yeah, it's flown by.
Yeah.
No one remembers anything that's happened over the past 5 years.
It doesn't exist. Just like the Captain Hook when you...
It's been yeah, that's what happened. Captain Hook left and then we woke up, it was 2025.
Yeah, but it's 5 years ago to this month, but it was more out of kind of like me struggling with my mental health that I took a real interest in it, and there was nowhere else for me to put those emotions. So I was a bit like, this needs to go somewhere. And the only person I had to speak to was my wife and a cat at the time, because we were literally in the same house. So that's why I was a bit like, I need to talk to other people, and that's why I created the podcast. And
the stress sessions.
Yeah. So that was kind of me wanting to speak to other people about mental health, but also I'm a very nervous person, so I'm not very good in social situations, or I used to be a nervous wreck. So I started doing a podcast to test myself, to push myself out of my comfort zone within my own home, because it was a safe space. So I thought, why not?
How'd that go?
Very scary. So the first episode was my best mate from school, and I think he was just as nervous as I was, and you could probably tell from the episode, but just kicked on from there. And it's been 5 years now. I've not done an episode for a little while because of obvious reasons, which we'll probably speak about.
Yeah.
But
you've been busy, haven't you?
Yes, very very busy.
So you are a mental health advocate.
Yes.
A podcast host, a brand new father. What else do I not know about you? What's your day job? Have you got a day job?
Yeah, so I work in comms.
Oh, do
internal
you?
comms is my day job. Yeah, so I mainly writing for like internal websites, blogs, writing emails on behalf of CEOs, directors, stuff like that. So
that's not a very social job, is it really? I mean, I know you're speaking to people online, and you're not out meeting people. You're not surrounded by people all the time.
No, I mean, I work from home 4 days a week, so it's Zoom meetings and talk to people for a webcam. So not really, but I'd say it's a pretty social job in terms of like I have to interview people for articles internally, stuff like that. But no, not your classic jumping into the world of podcasting sort of job. No.
Because that's when I've been struggling with my mental health. What's been really fortuitous for me is that I work in television. So I go to work and I'm on set with maybe 30 people, being creative, throwing ideas around. You know, everyone's talking. You've got the crew who are great, and actors and makeup artists. And if you're in your own head and you're struggling with anxiety or depression or whatever it is, being surrounded by people, it can be a positive or a negative. But for me, it's a huge positive. I get real strength out of that because I'm not in my own head for the first time in however many days. Have you found it difficult working from home?
Do you know what? I've not thought about it like that before, but yes.
Have you?
Yeah. So I've had this conversation a few times with different people, but I think working from home stripped back that like you said, the social aspect of physically going to work. Because I think again, pre-lockdown, I was going in 5 days a week, chatting to people next to me, going and chatting to people in that building. Whereas now it's like I've got to book a meeting in, or I've got to call someone, and I don't really want to call that person, so I probably won't. So I guess working from home has completely lost that social aspect, and I think it's hard on your mental health because you kind of think, I've had meetings with people where I thought that hasn't gone very well. What do I like? Did I mess up that meeting? And then whereas if you've had that meeting face to face, you'd be able to just sort of ask them like, or see their facial expressions or the way they're acting to see if it went well. So it sort of gets in your head a little bit.
You'd be able to have a laugh with people, wouldn't you? That's the thing. You can have a laugh. You don't have a laugh when you're on your own unless you really are far down the rabbit hole. I mean, we can talk about psychosis if you want, but it's quite a heady topic.
Yes. Yeah.
Mate, well, look, you know, well done for making it this far.
Thanks.
Well done.
It's been a bit of a tough journey, but I'm still here, so that's good.
How old were you? You're on my podcast, so you've not really got a choice. I'm going to ask you some questions.
Yeah.
That's how this works. How old were you when you first got diagnosed with mental health problems?
Good question. I think it was like mid-20s.
Mid-20s. So a good 10 years ago.
Yeah, but and it was weird because my wife's brilliant, and I'll say that probably numerous times throughout this podcast because she's my rock. She's like the one person that I can rely on to help me through stuff. She's obviously nobody's perfect, but she's done well to part with me, let's put it that way. And when I initially got diagnosed, I didn't want to go to the doctors to get that diagnosis because I think labeling up something like anxiety, depression, particularly like 10 odd years ago, it felt shit. It felt, am I right to swear?
Well, you just have.
Cool. Shit. And I was embarrassed to like put it plainly. Like I was pretty like, I don't want to label myself with these things. And I knew something was wrong, but I think I've struggled for like, probably since, I'd struggled with my mental health since my teens, growing up, quite a lot on and off.
Did you know at the time, or is that?
I didn't know what mental health was.
But is that something in hindsight when you look back now, you can think, yeah, shit, I wasn't very well then?
Yeah. And I probably should have gone to the doctors in my teens, but in
coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah, exactly. So I think basically my wife was like, I think you need to get help. And I was like, she's saying that, probably do. So I went to the doctors. They made you fill out a little test thing that they go through, and they were like, yeah, you've definitely got high anxiety, definitely got sort of medium depression.
Brilliant.
And I was like, cool, what do I do with this? They signed me up to counselling through the NHS quite quickly. Not as quick as what you get now. Again, 10 years ago is a bit different. And I started going to counselling, which again I thought was quite embarrassing. I felt embarrassed to be driving to counselling, going to seeing this bloke that I'd speak to about what's going on inside my head. Didn't feel good.
Why do you think that was? Why do you think you were embarrassed?
Because I'd never spoken about stuff like that before.
Do you think there was a masculine thing? Do you think it was a because you were trying to maybe live up to some sort of expectation as a successful human being, or you didn't want to seem flawed? What?
I think
Just what I'm saying is embarrassed is quite a specific terminology to use.
Yeah, I think it was because I at the time didn't know anybody else that was doing that,
Right.
or I didn't know anybody else at the time that had been diagnosed with those things. And it makes you feel quite alone. So by feeling alone, I then felt embarrassed and felt a bit like an outsider. And I felt like that quite a lot in my life, but at that point I was a bit like, don't like this feeling. But looking back now, those 10 counselling sessions that I was provided by the NHS worked wonders, I think, at the time, and helped me through that difficult period that I was going through then. Had lots of counselling since then.
Therapy makes you sexier.
Yeah.
You
Not now, but not at this current moment in time.
Whoa. Come on now. Hey, I know we've already commented on the fact that you've made no effort for my podcast today. Okay. What were you, take me back. What were you like mid-20s? What was that experience like for you? You said that was the first time when you look back with hindsight, that was when you think I was really not very well. What did that look like?
I was just in a very dark place, and I think so 10 years ago would have been, it was just before I got married.
Wow.
So the pressure of that was quite a lot. And I think I wasn't happy with the job that I was in. I was in a shit job, hated it. It was in a, how do you explain it? It's like in a, on like a kind of industrial estate sort of area where it's very isolated. I drive to work, didn't really speak to any of the people I work with because they were all very different people to me. It basically was for a sciencey, droney sort of company, and I was doing the comms for them to try and promote the brand. Won't name them. don't know if they exist anymore. But I remember at lunchtimes I'd literally just walk around this industrial estate, being like, "Don't want a beer, don't want a beer." And I think they still exist, but you know, Calms, the tablets, Calms. I used to take them to try and make myself try and feel a little bit better. And in hindsight, I think they're probably just a bit of a placebo tablet.
I think they're herbal.
Don't do anything. And I remember I was drinking quite a lot. Alcohol, as I found out, isn't very, very good for me personally. I was just in a deep, dark hole. I'd go home, I'd moan to my wife about how shit my day had been. Just didn't want to do anything. Didn't want to go to work. I struggled to just get out of bed in the morning, and I was just a bit like, yeah, not good.
What were you like when you had, say, a social event? So for example, if you and your wife had to go to a friend's house for a dinner party or something, because those I can look back on my own. I can go back along my own mental health journey, and work is quite an obvious. That's quite an obvious thing to talk about because we spend a lot of our time there.
Yeah.
So you're like, I was unhappy in work. You're like, okay, right. But what about between the hours of 6 p.m. and when you went to bed, and you had to go to like social situations and things like those? Because those would be the times where, for me at least, that's where I would really start to feel not well.
So for me, I'm odd in social situations because I've always struggled in them. Like even now, I'm not great in big groups. So if we're talking like this 1-to-1, absolutely fine. I can talk for days. But when I'm in a group of 6+ people, not for me at all. Don't know why. Don't know what that is. Never figured that out. But I think those social situations back then were probably a bit of an outlet for me. So I didn't feel as bad as when I was at work, but I would, like I said, probably just get drunk and try and forget the bad stuff that I was going through at that time. And looking back now, I used alcohol as a bit of a crutch to try and not remember what the bad stuff that's going on in my head. So yeah, at the time they were okay in social situations, but looking back, not good.
And your wife picked up on the way you were feeling,
Yeah.
obviously, because you were
Yeah,
waking
yeah.
in the morning and not wanting to get out of bed. And one of the things I used to do, I used to sleep a lot. That was when I'm feeling particularly low. Eating is another one. I don't eat when my anxiety's bad, and touch wood, it hasn't been bad for some time now. My diet just goes out the window. I just don't have no appetite.
So I probably eat more. I'm the complete opposite, because I think for me, because food's a weird thing for me, because I think because I've got rid of the alcohol aspect, because I'm sober now, I've been sober for over 3 years. Food's my crutch more than alcohol, so I sort of navigate towards unhealthy foods.
What's your go-to?
McDonald's.
Grow up.
Hate to say it.
You're
McDonald's.
a grown man. For God's sake. Right.
What's yours then?
Listen, we'll clear this up right now, right? You and I are going to draw a line under this. When you walk out,
never eat McDonald's
when
again.
you walk out of this studio, you're going to have such guilt the next time that you think about having a McDonald's, right? I love burgers.
Right.
I fucking love a hamburger. Oh my God. A really good burger. You obviously...
Like a shit burger.
You're a fan of a burger. If you're a fan of a burger, why are you going to McDonald's?
It's just easy access.
No.
Outside of McDonald's, though, I'll give them the plug because they're just down the road from where I live. But there's a place called Panzini.
Yeah.
Not been paid by them or anything.
That's okay.
Just amazing. They do these it's a burger, right? That's kind of like in a calzone.
Oh God.
And it's filled with like pork belly, cheese, like whatever you want. Amazing. Like they do the best. They're called panzinis. But
You had me at
amazing.
calzone.
Very good.
Absolute filth.
Yeah, they're the best. The best. Better than McDonald's.
Just go back to something that you said before. I want to pick up on something. When you went to the doctors for the first time,
Yeah.
and they told you that you had anxiety and a form of depression, what did that feel like? What did that do for you? Because there's a school of thought that suggests that might feel like a bit of a relief. That you go, oh my God, thank goodness someone has finally listened to me, and I now have a label that I can go, right.
Yeah.
I can now explain all of that because I'm anxious and depressed. But there's another school of thought that says that, as you said, you felt embarrassed. How did you feel in that moment?
I mean, I felt like it gave me some clarity because obviously I knew something was wrong, and for somebody to confirm that was good. So for a professional person to go, this is what's up, was nice, and it put me at ease a little bit, because I was a bit like, what is going on here? You just think something's not right.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Go and see a doctor, and they're like, you've got this, and it's like, cool. It's like being told, like, I fractured my wrist before, and I was like, my wrist's broken. I don't know what's broken in my wrist, but something is broken. Go to the hospital, give you an X-ray, like this bone's broken in your wrist. So it's nice to get that confirmation. But on the flip side of that, it was a bit like, I've now got this thing, and will I ever get rid of it? And that was my first thought when I got told I've got anxiety, depression. I was like, how do I get rid of it? Like, how do I get rid of this thing? And I got prescribed antidepressants, which I think most people either go down the medication route, the counselling route, or they don't do anything because they're like, well, I know what I've got now. I'm going to try and ride this out, sort of thing. I was like, I've now got this label. What do I do with it? Like, what's the time span of it? And in my naive me back then of 10 years ago was like, is this going to be gone in 3 years? Is this going to be gone in 3 months? When realistically, it's like, it doesn't ever go. It's with you pretty much forever. Depression comes and goes, but when you're diagnosed as having anxiety, it's there. But I thought I could get rid of it, and that was my initial thought. I was like, how long is this going to last for? How long is this going to go on for? So that, I guess, was my initial thought.
it's quite a masculine way of looking at things, isn't it? It's quite an old fashioned,
Yeah.
stiff upper lip. Right. So that's a diagnosis. What's next? How can I get rid of it? When actually, as you and I both know, and a lot of people listening to this probably will as well, that it's about mastering it. I think it's about mastering it, and I think, and I know you've spoken about counselling and therapy. A mixture of both of those things, medication and speaking with a professional, that seems to be the sweet spot. Although I would counter my own argument by saying they seem very, very very keen to provide people with sertraline. They seem very, very,
Yeah, that was the first one I got put on.
I know a few cases where people have been misdiagnosed and put straight on sertraline, and it's actually not been what they needed. So that's a kind of dangerous world. Did the medication sort of help you?
Ish. So I initially got put on beta blockers, which I think is the traditional route because it's like that's a very low risk drug. I think I haven't done a load of research into it, which I probably should have done because I've been taking a lot of different medication over the years. But I think it did initially help. I think because I was taking something that was meant to be helping me, it did have that placebo effect because I was like, this little tablet that I'm putting into my body is going to help me. So I think in my head I was a bit like, yeah, it's helping me, it's making me feel better. But then as time goes on, you sort of realise, oh, perhaps this one isn't quite right for me. And you notice yourself feeling like more drowsy, more tired, not feeling yourself completely. Like so I've gone down that road of I'm going to try this medication out for a set amount of time. If it's not helping me after 6 months, say, I'm going to go back to the doctors and go, look, this isn't working for me. Can we try something else? Can we up the dosage? Can we lower the dosage? Can we try a different type of medication? And that takes a long time, which is scary because you're investing a lot of time in something that might not necessarily work at all. So yeah, my medication journey's been a long and bumpy one, but I think I'm there. Yeah. I think so. I've been on my medication I've been on now for a couple of years, so
and it's working.
I think so. But it's hard to judge it. I mean, I think because of like the lack of sleep, the different kind of lifestyle that I'm living now, it's hard to put a finger on what's working, what's not. Having counselling as well at the minute, so that's exhausting. I think if you've had counselling before, you'll probably know that it's quite a tiring thing to do. So yeah, I think it's working, but who knows at the minute? Don't know.
It takes it out of you, therapy, in the best possible way. I love it. I really, I'm not actually with a therapist at the moment. I have had 3 therapists in my life. I would recommend therapists to psychotherapy. This is, I haven't done CBT, but I'm sure that's equally as valuable. But I would recommend therapy to absolutely anybody that was listening to this. We should all speak more. To be given a platform and to be given the permission to have a really open, honest, vulnerable conversation with somebody, with a professional, about the things that is going on in your head that you don't speak to anyone else about. I mean, that's the best thing in the world, surely. And
it unlocks so much stuff in your head that you don't even think, you wouldn't ever think of if you didn't speak to that professional person. So it's, like you said, I second the going and speaking to a therapist, even if you're not struggling with your mental health, like just as like a
precaution.
Yeah. Like honestly, if I wouldn't have taken the routes that I've gone down, I don't think I'd be here.
Wow.
So yeah.
Was things getting that bad?
At points, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Like the decisions that I've made when I've made them have been the right decision. as in going to see a counsellor, taking a medication, going and getting diagnosed, stopping drinking alcohol. If I wanted to stop drinking, I've been in a pretty dark place right now, I think. Don't know how I would drink with a baby. don't know how that would work for me.
Yeah, good luck.
But yeah. Yeah.
You should feel really proud of yourself, mate.
Thank you.
I hope you do. I hope you do feel proud of yourself. It's often a complicated thing. I think pride in oneself, because especially when you're living with mental health problems, or you're suffering from mental health problems, I should say. We're often just stuck in our own heads so much, and just trying to get through the day, that we often don't stop and think, I've handled this really, really well. So make sure that you find those opportunities to be proud of yourself, mate. It's really important.
And I think even when you haven't done that, well, it's like, I've got through. I'm here, got through. I've completed the day.
Yeah.
I think one thing for me is like, an instance I used recently is I ran a 20-mile race on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday just gone. And I'm usually fine with those distances. I'll do it. I'll go, I want to get this time. I'll usually get in or around that. And I struggled. I hit a wall at about 13 miles. And
that's early.
Yeah. So like the half marathon sort of stage, got another 7 miles to go. And I was like, this is shit. This is not the territory that I've been in before. Usually I'd hit a wall because I've done marathons, and I'll get to about 21 miles and I'll be like, 5 miles to go. Cool. I'm struggling there. But I've never been at that stage where I've got that early on hit a wall. So I was like, right, gonna dig deep here. But I think because mentally I'm sort of a bit all over the place at the minute, with child, busy job, life, training for a marathon that I've got in a couple of weeks' time. It's been a bit of a struggle. And I ended up phoning my little sister up, who has had her own struggles. And we sort of coach each other through those difficult times. When she's having a bad time, I'll be like, look, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Like, you're gonna work it out. And I rang her up and I was like, I'm at mile 16, got 4 miles to go. Give me some inspiration. I was like, I'm going to say little, so she's 30, but still little, smaller than me. And she did. She was like, you can do this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you don't need to literally tell me I'm going to do this. I was like, just talk to me about what you're doing, like what you're doing with your day and all that. And I just chatted to her on the phone for like half an hour.
While you were running?
While I was running. So I was doing like I was walking for a bit, running for a bit, walking for a bit, running for a bit. And it's along a canal. So I was having to let people pass. And I was like, this feels shit. I never let people pass me or anything like that. But I finished it, rang my sister up, was like, finished the race, like done it. And she's like, well done. You've done really well. And I was like, I've done shit though. I've had to walk, blah, blah, blah. And she's going, look, I've not ran over 5K before. You've just done 20 miles. Not a lot of people can do that. You should be proud. Sent a screenshot to my wife to say, I'll finish. I'm going to be heading back home soon. She's like, oh, well done. I'm like, I don't feel like I've done well. But I think, like you said just a minute ago, you should feel proud of those sort of situations. Feel proud that you've finished your race. Feel proud that you've finished the day. You don't need to have sort of done it to the standard that you think you should do it, but you've done it.
It's all about how you frame things.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you frame it in such a way as, oh my God, I've just run 20 miles, which I don't know what percentage of the population can run 20 miles, but I don't imagine it's very high. Like, if you frame it like that, it's an incredible achievement. But, we're our own worst critic, aren't we? Because in your head, you're going, well, I should have done that in 2 hours and it's taken me 2.5 hours or whatever it was. How fast were you 20 miles?
It's like 3.
Slow that.
305.
Slow that,
yeah.
mate. Shit
So,
that. Shit that.
Well, in my head, my goal in at some point in my life is to run a 4-hour marathon, which a lot of people can do. I haven't done it yet, and I then calculate the 3 hours 5 minutes, and I was like, for a full marathon that'd be 4 hours 5-7 or something like that. So I was close. So I was like, no, that's okay. With the lack of sleep, with everything else going on.
You're doing amazing. Most people, when they've got a new baby and they haven't slept properly,
they're just doing nothing.
Well, they're just a shell of a human being. They're a husk.
Yeah.
I did the Valencia Marathon a few years ago. Would wholeheartedly recommend it if you're thinking of doing a marathon. and you want my professional advice, the Valencia Marathon is completely flat. It's completely flat. They do it in December.
So it's quite cool.
So it's about, I think I ran at about 15 degrees.
Oh, that's ideal then, yeah.
I mean, and Valencia's beautiful. I hated it. I didn't even make it to 20 miles before I hit a wall. I hit a wall at about 18 miles. And when I say hit a wall, I don't think people realize when marathon runners talk about the wall. I don't think, unless you run a marathon, I don't think you really understand what that feels like. Because it's like every fiber, every sinew of your being
just dies.
Is screaming at you to stop. Yeah. Your brain is going, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to us? We don't do this. This is stupid. And your legs don't want to do it. It was, and I got to the end of the marathon and I burst out crying. I was sobbing, and they put the tinfoil round me and my little medal, and I sat under this railway bridge and I ate a protein bar or something, and the tears would not stop coming. And I think it was partly relief.
Yeah. And that you're proud of yourself.
I was proud of I was afterwards, once I got to the pub and had a pint, I was like, oh God, now I'm so proud of myself. Look at me with my medal, everybody. Look at me.
Was that your first marathon as well?
Yeah. First and last. I will not be running. Listen, some people are built to run marathons. I'm
not built to run marathons. I'll still do it. Because why not? If you can do it.
We're not meant to run marathons. Like, if you ask a medical professional, if you say to any doctor, should I run a marathon? Even if you were fit as a fiddle, they go, no.
Okay.
Because we are built, right, to escape from lions and fucking...
In short spurts, yeah.
Right? We're meant to be really fast over like 20 meters to escape a lion. We're not meant to run for 26 miles.
Because that lion would have just given up.
Yeah, but exactly.
25 miles.
Yeah. How many lions are you trying to outrun at various points along the course?
Perhaps it's a lion relay team or something. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. They've got a baton.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, mate.
That'd be interesting.
Talk to me about lockdown. Because I'll tell you about my lockdown experience if you'd like. If you'd like some context.
Yeah, go for it.
So I realised in probably about 2012, 2013, that my mental health wasn't very good. I had my first panic attack in 2003. Didn't know it was a panic attack. Thought I was having a heart attack. And I never addressed any of the issues at all during my formative years. Never went to see a doctor, never thought anything of it. Had a few panic attacks, constant anxiety. Again, similar to you, self-medicated with drugs and alcohol and things. Hit lockdown, and that was where my cheese slid off my cracker completely. I didn't have that. There were no rules in lockdown. I didn't have to be anywhere, and it was only when looking back, I realised now that having that taken away from me, I have to be at work for 8 o'clock in the morning. I have that to do. I have lines to learn. I have to be here. I have to, having that taken away from me and being left alone with my thoughts, with alcohol. Yeah, I completely felt a bit. My wife and I ended up getting divorced on the back of it, because I was a pretty shitty husband. So I completely understand anything that you're about to tell me. I've been there. It's dark. What was it like for you?
It's like it didn't happen.
Really?
Yeah.
Or does it feel like it happened to somebody else?
Yeah, I think because I'm such a different person now, I look back and I'm like, that wasn't me. It wasn't me in that time. And I think the me back then was, it was the beginning of the Zoom calls. So I was on Zoom calls all day. Worked for a company at the time that they actually closed down their business. So they stopped operating during that time, because I think most businesses did, if I can remember rightly. So my job was sort of a bit, not up in the air, but I didn't have have a great deal to do at that time because it was like all of their shops closed, and I was like, cool, got less workload here. So I'd come off the call at like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. It was like, right, beer time. Like literally, I'd literally have a beer next to me waiting to go as I came off of that Zoom call, and it's like, it's not good, is it? It's looking back now, it's not good. The thing that I always remember was it sounds fucking stupid looking back on it now, but I put a photo up on Instagram on my personal Instagram. Like, do you remember when Tiger King was big? So Tiger King was out, it was everywhere, and I had just shaved my head to raise money for Calm at the time, and who are a great charity, do a lot of great work. And I was like, oh, doing this for a good cause. I think I raised like 500 quid, which is all right. And I remember like watching Tiger King, popping open a bottle of either Prosecco or champagne, just drinking it straight out of the bottle while watching Tiger King, wearing this leopard print shirt. I had a pair of sunglasses on in my living room, sitting in the chair. My wife took a photo of me, uploaded it to Instagram. I was thinking, I look fucking well cool in that photo. Look back at it now, I'm like, what a dickhead. You know, and that's how I perceived myself at that time. I was like, what an idiot. And even down to when I was recording the podcast episodes, I did one on my own, which I titled the one with the whiskey or something like that. And I was just drinking whiskey while recording this podcast about mental health, about how I was feeling at the time.
Yep.
And it just seems insane now. And I look back, I'm like, that is not me. I'm not that person anymore. And I think I was that person because that was, I think, me crying out for help a little bit. It's me going, you're doing what you need to do to get through, but you need help. Clearly not getting help. And I think a big part for me was that I couldn't have counselling because it was all online, and I don't like online counsel. I have to have somebody sitting in front of me to speak to and know that they're a real person. I didn't have that at the time, and I think that's probably part of my downfall.
So you started the podcast. Did you call it Stress Sessions immediately?
Yeah.
That's brilliant, man. That's brilliant. So you said you did the first episode with your best mate.
Yeah.
Who was equally nervous.
So my first episode was with my wife.
Oh, your wife? You did your first one?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Forgot about that one.
How was that?
Weird. Well, do you know what? It was so honest. It was just a really honest conversation about how we were feeling at that time. And I think that's why it did well. Like I put it on my Instagram, my personal Instagram at the time. And it was scary because I put it out there because I was like, nobody's going to listen to this. Nobody gives a shit. Those people listen to all my friends, family, and we're like, oh, you suffer with anxiety, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah.
Did you and your wife talked about your mental health problems on the podcast, on that first episode?
On the first one. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. And we recorded it. I remember it because it was a really hot day. It was in our old house we used to live in. It was in my wife's sewing room, which was like a box room. We had all the windows closed, door closed. It is fucking boiling. I was in my boxers. She was in her underwear, and it was my phone. My iPhone was on a stool in between us, and
I was going to say you didn't video. It wasn't video.
No, it was literally just
she was in lingerie.
literally, it was so hot, and it was I'm like, how did I put this out as a podcast? Because it was shit quality, but people listened to it.
Wow.
And I then managed to convince my best mate to come on and speak about his mental health because I knew that he had struggled from time to time with his mental health. That was the first time we'd openly spoken about it as a proper conversation. So we'd hinted about it through like WhatsApp and just when we met up with each other. But that was the first time that we'd had an hour-long discussion about how we were feeling. It was mental.
Do you think it improved your friendship?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But I think he's a great friend anyway. Like he's always been a great friend because again, he's picked me up like my wife has. He's picked me up at my lowest points and like literally picked me up.
There's something about sharing that stuff though, isn't there? With another human being, you can't not feel closer to them. I feel closer to you already. You know, we've been chatting for what half an hour.
That's quite quick.
Yeah, mate. Time flies when you're having therapy.
Yeah.
But you do. I think opening up with somebody else is such a powerful tool, because not only are you being vulnerable with another human being, but you're also giving them permission to do the same thing, and that's a really beautiful symbiotic kind of connection, which is really, really lovely. So you did the first episode with your wife, second episode with your best mate, and then you must have thought, this has got legs. I'm going to make this into a regular thing.
Yeah, and it was initially weekly. So because it was lockdown, I didn't have a lot going on.
Don't know if you noticed, there was nothing going on. My schedule was clear.
Didn't have kids. My work was pretty easy. So I just literally put my all into the stress sessions. And the first series was literally just me speaking to mates, I'd say. So I had another mate from back home that she's a deputy head teacher, so she obviously
she knows stress.
She knows the struggle. Yeah, she knows the struggle. So I spoke to her. She was great. I had one of my wife's sisters on the podcast, who I didn't really know, but she messaged me going, "I've suffered with my mental health. Can I come on?" Yeah, go for it. And it's just like really honest conversations about mental health. And then I started to get a bit bolder and was like, yeah, I can continue doing this. And I reached out to one of my childhood footballing heroes I support Gillingham, who not many people listening to this podcast will know, because they're in League Two.
I know Gillingham.
They're shit.
They've been shit since I was a child.
They used to be in the Championship for a bit.
Yeah, and they were shit.
Yeah. But I had a season ticket with them for 5 years. Basically, they had this player called Carlos Arba, who has played for Sheffield United. He's played for Gillingham. He's played for lots of different clubs. But when he played for Gillingham when I was a kid, I loved him. And he was like, to put it into perspective for me, he was like my Gillingham Thierry Henry of Arsenal. Support Arsenal as well. He was like my Gillingham Thierry Henry. Reached out to him about, do you fancy coming on my podcast? And he said yes. And I was like, fuck. Shit. Yeah. Got one of my literally childhood footballing heroes on my podcast. And it was amazing. And he hadn't really struggled with mental health. But he spoke about mental health in football, how it affected like the dressing room when he was playing, how people didn't speak about it, and that people were quite obviously struggling during that period. But I think it's because it was during the sort of noughties period. People didn't really speak about it then. And it was just, again, a lovely, honest chat. And yeah, that was the end of series 1.
Wow. So that gave you the kind of impetus to sort of carry on with it, I suppose. You were like, I think I might be onto something now.
Yeah.
So how many episodes have you done now? 50?
I think it's about 50. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really good, because most people, and I'm going to have to ask my producer, Blake, is it 4 episodes most people do? Yeah, 4 to 5 most people do.
5.
Most people give up after 4 or 5.
Wow.
Because they don't have that immediate like success and viewership. Most people do 4 or 5 and go, I can't really be bothered.
But so I think I carried on mine for selfish reasons though, because they were helping me. And I think because I was speaking to other people during a difficult period, I wanted to keep that going, because they were like you said, they're like mini therapy sessions. Because you're speaking about how you're feeling and you can relate to a lot of the stuff that the other person's talking about, you can then go back with your story and go, sorry to hear you had that, but I've had that as well. And you can sort of resonate with what they're saying. So I think that's sort of why I carried it on.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
And it's sort of why I stopped when I stopped, because I thought it'd come to a bit of a natural conclusion. And I was fine. I felt okay. So I thought, I'm okay now. I feel like this has come to a bit of a natural end, so I'll go on a bit of a hiatus. And I haven't done one for a year or so now, I'd say. But I want to go back to it.
You've got to.
You've got to,
don't you?
Well, it's great. It's great having those conversations. I feel like by us having this conversation, you're helping me. I'm not in the best place I've been in mentally, you're helping me because we're having this chat. And I think the more these conversations happen, the more people will feel better, and the more the people that will listen to this will feel better because they know that other people are struggling with what they're going through as well.
Is the whole reason for doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Have you ever had a guest on that's really changed your perspective on something? Have you had a guest on who's spoken about something, not necessarily mental health, but spoken about something that's made you go, wow, I didn't realise that. That's interesting.
I've had a guest on that's maybe changed the perspective of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I think it was series 4, I want to say 3 or 4. My last guest of the series was Perez Hilton, and I've grown up knowing about what he does and how much controversy he's caused, like particularly in the US press. I thought he was a dickhead. I thought, like, this guy's a nasty piece of work. He has thrown a lot of celebrities under the bus, particularly about their mental health. So I remember like a story that he published. I think it was in like the 2010s, noughties maybe, about Britney Spears, and she's always struggled with her mental health, I think. But during that time, he really went in hard on her personally, her mental health, and didn't like it. And I thought, I reached out to his agent and was like, I quite want to speak to him because I want to get into the brain of somebody that can do that and that can portray people in that way when they're in such a difficult period of their life. And I got him on and thought, I'm going to ask him some really, really difficult questions. I'm going to put him under the spotlight, blah, blah. And I was scared because I was like, this guy can, like, he can be nasty. Like, he could be a horrible person. And he was so honest and open about why he had been like that, and he was struggling with his mental health, and that was he was kind of using his work to offload how he was feeling, basically. And he completely changed his perception he changed my perception on him because he was a nice guy.
What did you ask him about the Britney Spears stuff? Did you specifically say
him,
she had a full-on nervous breakdown because partly because of the work that you did? How do you feel about that?
And he regretted all of it. He's like, I regret everything that I did during that period of my career, but it's made me the person who I am now. And the person who he is now, from when I spoke to him, was he's now got 3 kids. He still does the same sort of job. He doesn't do it as harshly as what he did because I don't think it's not acceptable during.
No, he'd be cancelled, wouldn't he?
Yeah. But he seems to have learned his lesson, which is good.
That's admirable.
Yeah,
that's all you can really ask, isn't it, from somebody, is that they show some, they own up to what they've done.
Yeah,
and learn from it. It's critical thinking, arguably. Identify that there was a problem and how to fix it and move on from it. Yeah, that's a lot to be said for that. That's really cool. Who's been your favourite guest?
Oh, God.
If you had to pick one, if I had to put you on the spot.
So the one, I think the best conversation I've had, which has made it my favourite one, was Tyler West, who's on Kiss Radio. And he was so open and such a lovely guy. And it's like, I think he made me open up more because he was so open himself. And I think those are the best sort of conversations, because when your guest opens up, you're like, this is cool. I can then open up myself then and be a bit more vulnerable. Whereas usually I'm like just asking questions. But he told his story of when he was going through a difficult period when he was younger. And it was when he witnessed somebody getting murdered. And he witnessed it with his brother, his mum, and he, just very open and honest about what he went through, how he was feeling, and fast forward about 3 months, I'd say, and he was on Loose Women with his mum telling that story, and it was an exclusive. And I was like, no, that's an exclusive on my podcast. I was like,
where's the fucking loyalty?
Yeah.
Where's the loyalty,
And
Luke?
I was like, hang on. But then I was like, do you know what? For him to have told me that story
yeah.
and open up
Yeah.
was awesome, because I was like, he didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Didn't have to tell me that story. I'm nobody. I'm just a guy that's got a podcast speaking about my experiences, allowing somebody else to speak about their experiences. So I think that's my favourite one. And he's just an overall lovely guy. And he's like, there's nothing to not like about him.
That's really cool. That's really, really cool. I want to talk about sobriety.
Okay.
I want to talk about sobriety. I have done, the longest I've done was 9 months.
Oh, okay.
I've done a couple of 3-month periods with no real difficulty, really. And once I've made that decision to go, right, I'm off the booze for, however long, I think it's fine. I actually feel quite empowered by it. I don't know if is that so you're nodding. Is that something that you felt like there's something quite empowering about it, especially if I'm surrounded by people who are drinking and I'm not drinking. I feel like I have a bit of a superpower.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Not in like an arrogant way. Like, oh, I'm so much better. I'm driving home.
Yeah. I can get home a lot earlier than these people can.
Yeah. But there's something I like about that, and I like that. If I'm out in a social situation and everybody else is drinking and getting pissed and whatever, and I'm on sparkling water, I love a sparkling water, Tory water. That's what we call it. Nice posh bottle of Tory water. I love that, because I just think once I've had enough, I just go, right, I'm off now. And it's much easier to do that. Talk to me about your sobriety. When did you decide? Did you have a moment where because I know people talk about rock bottom,
Yeah,
but I know your experience with mental health hasn't really been a rock bottom thing. It's been more of a gradual sort of things are shit and they're getting a bit shitter and I need to do something. Was it a similar thing with alcohol?
Yeah, sort of.
Go on.
Sort of. So there's, I guess the reason. So I've done what you've done, I think, before, when I've not drank. I think it was for 9 months myself, actually, because I was training for my first ever marathon. So I did London Marathon in 2018, 19, I think it was. Can't remember. But I was like, I want to put my all into this.
Mm.
And from my perspective, when I go in on something, I go in. I can't
go hard or go home.
Yeah. So I was like, right, what can I do to make my marathon time better or my training better? Alcohol's a bad thing. Let's cut the alcohol out. So I did it. I cut the alcohol out for 9 months. So my whole training program, didn't drink. Definitely benefited from it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get the time I wanted, which is fine. But it's the hottest marathon ever. Hottest London Marathon ever. I think it's like 34 degrees or something like that.
That's dangerous, isn't it?
It's horrible. I think somebody died, which was not good, obviously. And it was hard. It was hard. Like, that marathon was hard. But the drinking side of it, I was like, it was weird, because it was that time when there was no alcohol-free alternatives. So it was like, have Coke, orange juice, Beck's Blue, that was it. So it was a bit hard, but I think because I had that goal of I'm not drinking until I've done my marathon, I was okay with that, because I had that goal. So I think when I've got a goal in mind, I'm fine with it. Finished that marathon, went to Brewdog, had a beer, lovely. It's like the best beer ever, and I just continued with the drink. I kept drinking, and it wasn't until about, I don't know, like how long have I been sober for? 3 years. Yeah, so it'd have been like 3 years later that I had a bad experience with alcohol, and it was when I was on holiday, and I got very, very drunk. The hotel was on a cliff. Could have fallen off a cliff. Slept in a bush outside the hotel near said cliff.
Oh, mate.
My wife thought I'd gone AWOL. Couldn't find me. I went back into the room at about 7 a.m, having slept in the bush, had all bites over my legs and everything. Smashed my phone, and walked into the hotel room like, oh, what's you okay? What's going on? And I was a bit like, didn't know it happened at all. Didn't know what happened. That was one sort of like bad moment, I'd say. Continued to drink.
Because obviously.
Yeah, kept drinking.
Because drink's not the problem, is it?
No. And it was up till, so it was December 2021 that I stopped drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd gone out with a friend, and their friends. And because I didn't feel comfortable with the group that I was with, I didn't really know them that well. I drank to get past that social anxiety barrier. And that's what I tended to do. If I was uncomfortable with the group of people, or wasn't fully comfortable with the group of people I was going out with or was socialising with, I'd go, right, I'll have a few drinks and I'll be fine. I'll open up and like, done. Keep drinking, forget everything. And again, that evening I drank so much. I can't remember what happened for me to have got to the point that I got to, but I fell asleep in a Coral Bookmaker's doorway.
Oh dear God.
And I had people, I like vividly remember people walking past me going, "Oh, you're right, mate, you're right." And I was like, get phone smashed. That was a trait. My phone screen just got smashed every time I got into that state. I'd rang my wife. I don't know how I'd rang her. I think I'd accidentally rang her. Because I was meant to have been staying around my friend's house and then going back there. I can't remember because I got a train there. Again, this is when I was still doing the stress sessions. So I was still having these, weird nights out of drinking when I was recording. My wife picked me up from where I was. She didn't know where I was. She was driving around this town, just literally looking out for me at 1-2 in the morning. And don't remember getting home. Don't remember much of anything. Remember waking up on the sofa the next day and like going, fuck, I fucked up here, bad.
It happened again.
Yeah. And I was like, this has gone too far now. It's gone past the...
Yeah, this isn't fun anymore.
No. And it was then I was like, I'm not going to drink again. Because when that happened previously, it was in Crete. I think it was in Crete, one of the Greek islands. Who knows?
How drunk were you?
I said I wasn't going to drink and then just ended up drinking again.
Oh, mate.
And when it hit that stage 3.5 years ago, I was like, right, I'm going to do this time. And I said to my wife, I'm going to do this. And I said, I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing this for me because I need to stop doing this for me. And I have not drank alcohol since. I can't remember what my last alcoholic drink was. Who knows? Don't care. But I'm proud of that. I like you said about being proud. I'm very proud of being sober.
It's a nice feeling, isn't it?
I don't know why I feel so proud about it, but it's for me, it was such a long journey of attempting to go sober and not wanting to and wanting to do it for the wrong reasons, to then being like, I want to do this for me. And I just, I haven't gone back. And recently I've said to my wife, I reckon I could drink again now. I reckon I could do it. And I was like, I reckon I could have a beer and I'd be all right. Because I could. I think I could.
Of course you could.
But I've got such a good run going now.
Just don't. I think the positives much outweigh the negatives. They far outweigh the negatives.
But for me, so the thing that keeps me going with it is I'm a competition to myself. So I've got the I'm Sober app, and I've not looked at it. In fact, I've do you know what? I've got a new phone since the last time I looked at it. And when I was coming here today, I clicked onto that app because it downloads all your previous apps, and it logged me out because I got a new phone. And I was like, I've not looked at this in a while. And I think I'm up to 1,000, almost 1,200 days sober, and I'm like, I don't want to break that now. It just seems a waste.
But it becomes part of your identity now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's been that long. It's like you are you're Luke, you are a sober guy.
Yeah.
It's part of your identity. And that's a much better identity than I'm Luke who was asleep in a bookie's doorway.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So why even open that Pandora's box? Why even have one beer knowing that, and it might not happen.
Yeah.
Who's to say? But why even take that chance when there's so much, there's so much joy and so many other things to look forward to in life. Speaking of which, how are you finding being a dad?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. It's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard. Harder for my wife because she has got the brunt of the responsibility, but it's more amazing than what I thought it could be. It's
Rhea, did you say?
Yeah.
Gorgeous name.
Like, she is amazing, and she's 6 months and she's so clever. Like, we spoke about it earlier, but she does these she picks up a habit that she'll go with for a few days. So at the moment she started coughing. She'll cough to get your attention.
Oh, I love that.
And the next day it'll be she'll scream at the top of her lungs and then look at you and then smile, and you're like, okay, this is happening. But it's like, I was quite scared about becoming a parent. I think it's because the household that I was brought up in as a child is very different to the way that I have in my mind of parenting.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in quite it was quite strict. There was a lot of rules. You weren't allowed to be loud. Otherwise you got told off. It was, I don't know, quite a kind of managed childhood, if that makes sense. Whereas I'm quite like, just baby, let her do what she wants. Like, she's gonna cry, she's gonna scream, she's gonna go and eat that cable across the side of the room, which she started doing yesterday. It's amazing. It's such an amazing feeling. And yeah, there's hard moments where, like I think we said, she'll scream at 2:00 in the morning at absolutely nothing. But yeah,
it's so important I'm not a parent, but it's so important, it seems to me, that you create an environment when she's a baby, of course, but more so when she's a toddler and a child and she's becoming aware and sentient and can hold a conversation, all those things. It's so important to create an atmosphere where she's free to express herself. Of course, there have to be rules. Of course there do. Otherwise, it'd be chaos. But within that framework, it's so important to allow children to express themselves, to be creative, to be noisy, to make a mess, to be playful. It's the best type of childhood. That is what was missing probably from your childhood.
Yeah.
Was that you weren't allowed to make mess. You weren't allowed to make noise. You weren't allowed to be creative. You weren't allowed to, you weren't allowed to do things that, aren't ideal. But that's how we learn. Rules don't teach you right and wrong. They just teach you can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's again, an example recently is she's just started eating solid food. Well, not solid food, but like the mush.
Yeah.
The
bananas and stuff. Mashed up bananas yet?
We're on avocado at the minute.
Oh, avocado.
Yeah.
Crikey. Tell you're from Kent. Good Lord.
No, she's gone from carrots, broccoli, avocado,
And a latte.
and a baby chino. She didn't like broccoli. Didn't like that. Broccoli was messy as well.
Good girl.
But
Good girl.
it
Broccoli's shit.
went everywhere.
No one likes broccoli.
I like broccoli.
No, you don't. You just don't dislike broccoli. You don't dislike it.
If it's cooked in the right way.
Please, I'm all ears.
Roasted.
Yeah.
With salt on. Salt, pepper.
It's all
roasted.
right.
It's nice. It's nice.
It's okay. It's okay.
But if it's boiled vegetables are
My
horrible.
mum, I hope, and she might listen to this episode, in which case, Mum, I love your cooking. I want you to know that I love your cooking. She boils the shit out of vegetables, and there's just no need for it.
No.
Like, broccoli can be crunchy. It won't make you ill. It's fine. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah. Roasted vegetables, amazing. Boiled vegetables, no, not for me. But
How just moving on, but staying on slightly the same subject. How has fatherhood affected your mental health? Because obviously you've been on quite a journey, and during that journey you've probably consciously or subconsciously put practices in place and little things that you go, right, I need these, these are my non-negotiables. So for me, for example, I have to have a night routine. So I have to plan what I'm doing for the next day so that I don't wake up and feel anxious and it's chaos. I wake up knowing that I have written down in my phone, on my diary, exactly where I've got to be. Right, that's one of my non-negotiables. And then in the morning, I go to the gym every day, lift loads of weights, yada, 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 hydrate, all that good stuff, gratitude journal. They're my non-negotiables. Obviously, being a new parent, you don't make the rules anymore.
No.
She does. So how have you found that?
Honestly, hard. Really, really hard. I think life's changed so much that I didn't have a solid routine, but I had a routine where I'd exercise at least 3-4 times a week. So I had a routine of I'd do open water swimming. I haven't done a lot since we've had Raya, but every Wednesday morning, 6 o'clock, go to a lake with a few other people, swim for 10 minutes. Amazing. Like literally, honestly, cold water swimming for your mental health is amazing. Like it's helped me so much. And the friendships that you make in that environment, because you're putting yourself through such a hard experience that's going to be great afterwards.
You're in the trenches with people, aren't you?
It's amazing. It's so good. Like again, like going back to the encouragement side of it, the people I go with, it's a group of women that I go with, and they're all different ages. I think there's a few people that are my sort of age, some that are older. Literally the loveliest group of people ever, and they're so encouraging. They'll message you on a Tuesday evening going, "Who's going swimming in the morning?" Blah, blah. And I'm like, "Oh, I can't go tomorrow. I'm gutted." But like doing that for me was amazing. It was part of my weekly routine. That's gone to shit now. It's properly gone to shit. So it's been hard, but I think because she's a bit older now, we can start to put a bit of a routine back in place. Before, no chance. Like it was absolute turmoil. My wife was going to bed at like 2 a.m. at one point. I would stay up for as long as I could, but then obviously waking up for work and working, like if I was in the office, I'd be going at 7:30, starting at 8. Don't really want to be going to bed at 2. So that was hard, but because there was a bit of a switch. There was in Raya's mind, she just decided one day, I'm going to start going to bed earlier now. I think, and we're at the point now where it's about 11 o'clock, so we do get like a decent sleep. She does wake up in the night sometimes. Like she's amazing, to be honest. Like she doesn't. I feel like we've had it quite easy overnights.
But you'll find. So I think you're finding your way through it.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
What you're saying.
So we have got a bit of a routine. Like we'll bath her at a set time. We'll go and give her a bottle. Then it'll be wind down. We'll watch a bit of TV. She'll hopefully be going to sleep. She'll play for it. We'll basically clear all her toys away. She'll just have a mat and one of her bitey toys. Don't know what they're called. And that's it. So we'll try and wind her down.
Yeah.
And I think that's really helped because it then puts me into a bit of a routine again. So then I can go, right, so we're going to bed at 11, half 11. And from her bath time, I've started to put a bit of a routine in for me. So if I've got work in the office the next morning, I'll go and pack my bag for work. I'll go and give I'm wearing Invisalign, so my Invisalign a bit of a wash and all of that, and like just little things like that I'll put in place. So that
Self-care.
I'll know, yeah. So I'll do all that stuff. I'll go into the bedroom, turn on her night light, get her sleep suit ready, just little things like that. And I think having that routine back ever so slightly at the minute is good.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've missed. But I can't wait to go back to partially the old routine. I don't think it'll ever be the same again because once you have kids, it's gone.
Those days are gone.
Which I knew. I knew the day would come.
We lost another one.
Yeah.
Pour a drink on the car. My fallen comrade.
But like, no regrets at all. Like, I knew having a baby would be difficult, but I think as long as you stick together as a united front as a couple, you're going to get through.
Yeah.
And as long as you keep what we found, like we have been doing here, is talk about how you're feeling. So if you're feeling shit and you're struggling, talk to your partner about it. And that's kind of, again, something quite recently that we found works, because the first 4-ish months, it's literally trenches. You're in the trenches. You're doing what you can to get through. Whereas now it's like we're getting a new routine in place that's going to then help us get better. Is that the right phrase? I don't know.
Probably not. Probably not.
Feel better.
I hope your missus doesn't hear this. No, I think you're right. I think it's about. I think look, there's with the greatest will in the world, those first few months of having a child, you have to kind of give yourself over to it. There's nothing you can do. You're not going to have your routine. You're not going to have your self-care. You're not going to have your non-negotiables. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think if you're communicating with your partner through that period, that's really, really important. And that's something I've been preaching for a long time is saying to the person, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And vice versa, if your partner says to you, I'm not okay, you go, right, what do you need? Do you need advice or do you need a cuddle? What do you need? Do you need me to try and help you, or do you need me to comfort you? That, I think, is a really good foundation, I think. And then, like you say, once you get over the initial few months, you can start getting your routine back, getting your exercise, because exercise is clearly really important to you. It does sound like you sort of swapped drinking for running marathons, which I think is just a fantastic thing to do.
It was drink for more hardcore running and open water swimming.
Yeah, that sounds like a really fair swap to me.
It's been a lot better. Well, do you know what? One thing I did miss out that's part of my routine now, which again is quite a recent thing, is I've started counselling again.
Oh, congratulations! Well done.
Because I needed it.
Yep.
I needed it, and I think if you need to do something like that, particularly as a new parent, there's no shame in going, do you know what? I need to get some help again, because it's tough.
There's real strength.
Really tough.
There's real strength in that, Luke. It's not a weakness saying I need counselling or I need therapy. I need to talk. I'm not okay. We need to break this cycle. We need to smash this idea to pieces that admitting that you need help or you need to talk or you need therapy is weakness. It's not. It's strength. It takes an awful lot of strength to say I'm not doing okay. It's real. That's what a real man looks like right there.
Yeah, and it's like, again, can't recommend it enough, because it's I think I've had like 4 or 5 sessions now, and it's been good. It's really helped me. It's tiring, as we've said, but it's helped me a lot, and I think that's one due to me being able to open up about stuff that I haven't done in the past. I think becoming a new father has allowed me to unlock something else in my brain that's gone, that can come out now. That from growing up as a child and the way I was parented, and it's because I had this thing of, I think it was like a month in, something switched in my brain, and I was like, am I being a good parent? Am I doing the right thing? And I was like, I need to talk to somebody about this, because it's hard. It's a hard time. And I've like I said, I feel proud for doing that, but I found the right counsellor. And I think in the past I've had counsellors where I've been like, they're not for me. And I think for whoever's listening to this, if you feel like you're not working right with your counsellor, don't be afraid to move on.
Get a new one.
Because there's a lot out there. And there's a lot of good ones. You just need to find the right one for you. And I think the person I'm speaking to at the minute is brilliant. And it's a very comfortable environment. They go very quickly, which I always think is a good. Yeah, it's
a good indicator.
It's a good indicator that it's a good counsellor, because 100%. They make you feel very open. Monday's one just gone. I didn't have a lot to speak about because I thought, I'm just tired.
But they're often the ones, in my experience, when I go to see my therapist and I'm walking in there thinking, I've not really got anything to say, like everything's pretty okay. I come out of it like a blubbering mess because I've just made some connection in my past about something that I had no idea about. and they come out going, oh my God, I can't believe I've just discovered that about myself. And that's the wonderful thing about therapy and counselling is that you make those connections yourself. No one's, there's a it's a bit of a myth that counsellors sit there and go, well, Luke, the reason that you are anxious is because of this. That doesn't work like that. You make the connections yourself, and that is where the real strength and the real magic happens.
It's like they literally just help you unlock something in your brain that's been under lock and key for years, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. But I found myself coming out of, because it's at the person's house, and I walk back after my session. I'll walk down their driveway back to my car, and I'll be like, "Oh, that was good." I just say it to myself, like, "Oh, that was good. That was really good." And I'll get back in, and my wife will be like, "Oh, how was it? Like, did it go okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." And sometimes I want to speak about it and say, "Oh, this is what I spoke about." Other days I'm like, "I don't need to speak about it. I'm good. I'm good."
Make sure you feel proud of it. Make sure you remind yourself how proud of yourself you are. Very, very important. Very, very, very important. Let's do some little quick fire questions. Come on, little lift. One guest that you'd love to have on your podcast in your next series.
Oh, that's easy.
You're allowed to say James Sutton.
I'd love to have you on. I'd actually love to, honestly.
I can't believe I had to fucking prompt you.
No,
go on.
It's because I've had, so there's two people that I'd love to have on, and one of them was an inspiration for me creating the podcast initially, and the other is somebody whose books have really helped me through life. So one's Dr. Alex James. He's the best thing to come out of Love Island ever.
Fascinating guy.
Like, it's insane. He's done so much good stuff as well. Like, yeah, amazing. And Matt Haig, who writes the most amazing books.
What's the story that he wrote that I will have read? He wrote an amazing book.
So he wrote
something about time.
I can't remember the names. I'm so bad at names of books.
He's amazing anyway.
So it's his new book, The Life Impossible, is amazing.
Is it?
Yeah, so that's great. I'd definitely recommend reading that. But I went to, he did a talk in London like at the end of last year. It's just before Raya was born, and I think I like him so much because he's struggled with his mental health a lot through the years, and a lot of the stuff that comes out with is so relatable. And I'm like, I know how he feels.
The Midnight Library was the book I was trying. That's the one I was trying to find the name of. I read that on holiday, and
it's so sad.
Sobbed
so sad,
like a little girl. I was a blubbering mess at the end of that book. It's beautiful. He also did How to Stop Time. That's the one I meant.
Okay, yeah,
which is also beautiful. He's fabulous. I'd love to sit down with him. I'm with you on that one. Last couple of questions. What's the one misconception about mental health that you would love to see erased? What do people think about anxiety and depression that you want to change?
I think just the negativity around mental, as in like, once you're diagnosed with a mental illness, that's a bad thing. Because I think the way that I look at it now, sitting here as me.
Why did you just question who you were? Sitting here as
me.
Me?
It's an epiphany.
The first time that's happened on this show. It's a journey of self-discovery. I walked out a new man.
Yeah, literally. I think it's that. I think that your mental illness are your superpowers, because I wouldn't have done the stuff that I've done had I not been diagnosed with anxiety and depression. I wouldn't have done the stress sessions. I wouldn't be here speaking to you now. I wouldn't be the person that I am now. And I think the misconception of, oh, it's bad that you've got a mental illness. You're going to be struggling. You're going to be having a really bad time. You're going to need to, as I thought back then, get better. It's not like that. you will struggle, you will have bad times, but you'll also have amazing times as well. You'll have times where you think, fuck, I'm living with these illnesses, but this is amazing. And it's times like when you're going for a run and you're having like, you're 20 miles in and you're like, this is amazing, I'm doing this great thing. Or you're speaking to James Sutton going, oh, I've had counselling this week. This is just, yeah, it's been an amazing journey that wouldn't have made me the person I am had I not been diagnosed. So the misconceptions of mental illness in general, because they still have negative connotations.
They do.
That was a long-winded answer. I apologise.
It was a great answer. It was a really, really well thought through, very reasoned argument as to why.
I got a bit lost, but I came
you
back
pulled it
around again.
You pulled it back. You pulled it back. You went down a one-way cul-de-sac at one point, and then you put it in reverse. Luke, mate, listen. Thank you so much for your honesty and your candour, and for your company. Means a lot. It means a lot to people listening. For you to share your story like that. The stress sessions is brilliant. I've listened to a couple, and they're really, really good. You're really good at it.
Thank you.
And it's an incredible tool. Don't underestimate the work that you're doing. I'm proud of you, and I hope you're proud of yourself. So if you take one thing from today, just take those moments to be proud of yourself, mate.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It's been a pleasure.
Absolute honour.